Hey friends, you're listening to Why This, a podcast where a couple of food scientists learn why people love the things they love. Today's topic, mushroom hunting. Welcome to Why This, as always brought to you by DraughtLab. DraughtLab helps food and beverage producers improve the taste and quality of their products with best-in-class sensory software, tools, and training. Visit DraughtLab.com to learn more or reach out to us on social media if you're interested in becoming a better taster. I'm your host, Lindsay Barr, with my co-host, Matt Conyer. All right, we're talking mushrooms today. We're talking mushroom hunting today. It's mushroom season, so we felt like it was appropriate. I've dabbled a little bit in the art of mushroom hunting, not much. I definitely don't trust myself. And my guest today is actually the person who taught me all I know, which was really not much. Matt, what's your experience with mushroom hunting?
Mushroom hunting? Absolutely none. I don't have a mushroom master to help teach me what to do when I go in the woods. Otherwise, I would probably hurt myself. And it's probably something that we should say to anyone listening to this is, if you're going to do this, you really kind of need to know what you're doing. And I know I wouldn't be able to handle that. But mushrooms in general is something that we deal with quite a bit in sensory, right?
I feel like we talk about mushrooms a lot because it's kind of like the quintessential training tool to teach about umami, like the umami taste.
Definitely.
Because it's a little bit more of a vague taste. So we like to use analogy. So tomatoes and mushrooms, it's like that kind of MSG, yummy flavor. And it's very present in mushrooms, which is why they're typically kind of used for meat substitutes. So yeah, I feel like we talk about mushrooms a lot, but we never really get into mushroom hunting. So I am excited to talk with our guest today. We've been friends for quite some time. We've judged beer competitions together. We've done research projects together. We've even built a couple of beers together. So we're very familiar with kind of the product development side of things. His name is Ross Koenigs, and he is currently the owner and brewmaster of Aurora, Colorado's hottest new brewery called Second Dawn Brewing. He owns and manages that place with his wife, Amy. But during mushroom season, he cannot be found anywhere because he's hiding in little secret caves, finding and gathering his little treats, his little mushroom treats. So Ross, what if you could just kind of generalize your relationship with mushroom hunting, what would your relationship with mushroom hunting be? And how secret are your secret patches, mushroom patches?
Top secret, probably CIA level clearance, maybe NSA. So my relationship to mushroom hunting, I've been doing it for almost 20 years or so now. I had a really good friend of mine back in college that introduced me to the hobby. And, after the first time, I was just hooked. So I grew up in Wisconsin, so a lot of woodlands, typically a very, kind of moist and humid climate to begin with. So really good for hunting for certain species of mushrooms. Primarily the morel mushroom is the biggest one that I hunt for, but also spend some time hunting chanterelles, oysters, maitakes, chicken of the woods, and stuff like that.
Yes, I can't wait to hear more. So we asked you to come up with your top 3 reasons why mushroom hunting is something that people love and are passionate about. So let's get into it. What's your first reason?
My first reason really is just, it's a really good excuse to go take a walk in nature and especially take a walk in the woods. I grew up playing golf and it's kind of like I don't know. It's a poor substitute for mushroom hunting. It's just being out in nature, getting fresh air, spending time in the woods, just being really tuned into what's going on in the local climate, local topography, all that sort of good stuff. There's always new, interesting things to observe and just be, even if you don't pick any mushrooms, it's still just a really nice way to spend an afternoon.
So that makes a lot of sense. So you go out into the woods and you kind of have to be, I'm guessing, switched on and looking for these things all the time. So you actually get to be a part of the environment and soak it in. And is that kind of how that all started? Like, how do you make the jump from golfing and walking around and doing that into mushroom hunting?
I think more so than anything, it's just something that it's a little bit more, how how should I say, ecologically friendly. You can feel a little bit better about like spending time in nature than like doing nothing against the game of golf. I still play it, but I just kind of prefer being out in the world unsullied by humans.
Just your fungi friends is all.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
First fungi joke. Congratulations, Lindsay.
I,
did it.
Okay, what's your next reason?
My next reason, it's extremely ephemeral. It's one of those things, especially when you hunt morel mushrooms. Really, the season at most is about a month long. And so it's like it really grounds you. It's like, I kind of start, there's almost like this itchy part of my brain, kind of mid to late April into like early May, that it's just like, the mushrooms are coming up, gotta go pick some morels. And so, it's something that you really can't quite recreate anywhere else.
So walk me through this a little bit. So there's a time when you're kind of scouting for areas and for mushrooms, and then is it always in kind of the same places, or are you looking somewhere new every season? And then you mentioned the signal that goes out. Do you have a feel for that signal, or is it like, do you check it often? Like, how does the schedule of this work?
Yeah. So, yes to all of those things. So, really, it's kind of maybe like looking for the signals. Like, you can find other associative like nature markers. Like, I do it. We'll use morels as the example, but it's like, typically you'll see certain species of tree that are starting to send out flowers. And at what point in their development, they have certain like color gradation, like you can see it in the environment. It's like, okay, like at the very least, that seeing flowers coming out on a specific tree all of a sudden probably means that the climatic conditions are conducive to mushrooms fruiting. You asked just how am I scouting for new areas, other stuff like that, all the time. Like when you're in those spots, you generally know kind of the different topography, the other places. And so like as you're checking out a certain spot, you're also like kind of driving other places that kind of look like it. And so you're looking for mostly dead and dying trees, but here in Colorado, it's also burn scars are a big thing. Has it recently burned? All those sorts of things that can also help point you in the right direction.
Man, there's a lot to this. I didn't know it went so deep right away. Wow.
Yeah. Did you have like a mushroom mentor?
Absolutely. So my friend that I went to undergrad with, him and his dad really taught me in a really loving way. They kind of treated me like a small child, where it's like they'll kind of point you in the right direction. They're looking, and then they just kind of sit and stand there, just like, so what do you see? What's going on? I sit there and look at it, and I'm just like, crap, I don't see anything. You're like, you sure about that? Morels give like it's a really unique like honeycomb pattern. The cool part about hunting morels is, there aren't any poisonous or non-edible mushroom species that really look like it. And so it's like, it's easy to identify. And especially when you see it, it's like, okay, I know it's a morel. Nothing else looks even close to it.
It really makes sense that mushroom knowledge is kind of handed down from person to person. Even just hearing about all the different things that go into this, if I were to read a book and then try to go out and do some of this stuff, there's no way I would be confident enough to do anything.
Yeah, it's like nobody would read a book on open heart surgery and then just like go perform open heart surgery. Like you don't want to kill somebody. And in this case, you don't want to kill yourself.
Yes.
Okay, great. Let's look at reason number 3.
Yes. So I think it was really related to what we were just talking about, though. It's the like socialization, communal aspects of it. You make a bunch of cool morel dishes. Typically we do it where it's like, we'll cook morels like 4 or 5 different ways. We'll make pastas out of it. We'll stuff them. We'll deep fry them. Just do all sorts of cool stuff. But it's like, it's a really cool way to like celebrate the season, celebrate it with friends and family, and it's just this really fun social aspect. Even if you're not necessarily going out and hunting as a big group, you at least get to either bring people along or like get to invite people in for a meal.
I'll always remember that you gave me like 50 morels the day before I moved from Colorado to New York, and that seemed like that was very generous. But presumably, like you got way more than you gave me. I like estimate like he probably got 10 times that. So did you really? Is like 500 a good haul? Did you give me your entire haul? Like what did?
Well, yeah, that year was particularly good. I think that weekend alone, I think I picked something like 8 full like paper grocery bags full. I mean, just an obscene amount of mushrooms. So yeah, I was giving them away like mushroom Santa Claus there. Yeah, we'll go through. You got to go through and clean them, get all the bugs out, get all the sand and the grit and the grime out of it. We'll pack a decent amount away. Typically we'll take about a third of our stash will be just fresh to eat over. They keep about 2-ish weeks in the fridge, something like that. If you have plans for a lot of mushroom things, they will keep in the freezer. They do degrade maybe after like a month or two, but they do freeze okay. But really the best way for long-term storage is just to get a food dehydrator and dry them down. They'll keep for a couple of years if you keep them under the right conditions. When you get them really, really fresh, they have this really subtle flavor of anise that, along with like this kind of meaty umami flavor, it almost has this really kind of like floral and spicy component to it that really unique, pairs really nicely with like, a lot of the typical spring foods, your dills, your lemons, your asparaguses, your garlic scapes, all that sort of good stuff. So it's a versatile ingredient for cooking as well.
I liked, you talking about the social aspects, and I guess it's a little surprising because when we talked about mushroom hunting in the beginning, Lindsay, it was mostly like it's secretive. No one's supposed to know you're going out there. If you see somebody else, it's going to be really, is it competitive at all? Like, or how does that part of it work?
So it can be. I have a buddy that mushroom hunts in Washington State. He's walked onto land where there's like professional mushroom hunters that like are hunting burn scars or something like that are going to go make tens of thousands of dollars on mushroom hunts. Like he's literally had guns pulled on him. They're just like, you need to get back in your car and you need to go away.
So he got on their turf.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, some of them, like, they're not messing around. Like they're like, yeah, we're in the middle of nowhere. Like if you want to roll the dice, I'm not sure anyone's really going to find you, sort of a thing. So like people get serious about it. That's pretty atypical, not every mushroom hunter is like walking around strapped and like, get off my turf sort of a thing.
Yeah, I don't need to be packing if I go out.
Oh, no. You have like a circle of trust around you. Like I have friends around here that, we'll give each other tips and spots, or at least like you can get them in the right spot. And if they know what they're doing, they'll find.
Lindsay, we need to learn the mushroom code. I don't think we know
really
the code
do.
of the mushroom yet.
Ross, what is the most unusual place you've found mushrooms?
I'd say one of the coolest, maybe not unusual, but a cool spot was I was hunting in this place. It was a bunch of river bottoms, and you could tell like this big storm had swept through and literally like gale force sort of winds, and it took this dead cottonwood and literally just blew. I mean, the thing was probably 15, 20 foot in diameter, the tree trunk was. And literally these winds just took it and basically like toppled it like a matchstick. And then in the coming years, it rained really heavily and it made like this big sinkhole. And so like literally took a flashlight into this sinkhole. And, since mushrooms grow off of like the roots of trees, I literally like basically tied myself up. It was almost like I was going into a cave under this tree. And it was just like everything around me. I just shined my flashlight in there. And it's just literally just morels everywhere.
It's like opening a tomb in Egypt, like with your trying to, and then seeing all these mushrooms hanging down. That's great.
Yeah, well, that was very fun. I learned a lot. Matt, do you have anything to add and wrap up before we say goodbye?
I guess it's just, man, the depth of knowledge that goes into this is pretty astounding. And it also reinforces the fact that I should not go out there and do any of this unless I have a mentor or something like that to share the info with.
I'm really impressed with us for getting through this whole episode with only one fungus pun. And I'm going to keep it that way. All right. So thank you so much for coming on, Ross. Where can people learn more about you, more about your brewery, and find you and your brewery?
Yeah, so I would recommend the biggest thing is go to seconddawnbrewing.com. Check out our website. If you do the Instagram or the TikTok thing, our hashtag is @seconddawnbeer. I recently published a book with the Brewers Association on brewing with hemp. So if you're interested in that type of subject, feel free to pick up my book. Check out Second Dawn. If you're in town, come through the Denver area. We're like 10, 15 minutes from the airport. We're an easy first or last stop, and we're doing some cool stuff. And yeah, definitely come by, check us out.
Amazing. Can't wait to get out there. Why This is produced by the team at DraughtLab, where we help companies demystify consumer experiences through flavor analysis. To learn more, reach out through our website, and of course, like, subscribe, do all of those things. Thanks for being here.
They went out and told a bunch of people, and so then it's kind of one of those that, like, well, you're out of the circle now.